Okay, so in today's update about Jasmy, I want to check out specifically this part of the price action and tell you what is happening in here. And we are also going to check some very important and subtle signs suggesting maybe Jasmy is going to be, at least in the short term, much more bullish than we all initially thought. So with that said, hi everyone, welcome back. I hope you are having a great time with your family and loved ones. And first things first, let's start by seeing what is happening in terms of classic TA, meaning support and resistances. And it seems like that in JasmyCoin, we are just reclaiming these unbelievably important levels, which are from weekly and daily time frame at the same time, one by one, which is an excellent sign suggesting, okay, this move up does actually have a lot of power, and bulls did cause this move on the upside. Because if you remember, when we were right around these areas, I said I have some doubts about whether this is basically like a short squeeze or maybe this move was actually caused by bulls. And based on what I'm seeing in here, I am now more leaning towards the second possibility. So overall, in terms of classic TA, the fact that we are reclaiming these levels one by one, from my point of view, is a very optimistic sign. Now, in terms of Elliott's waves, if you remember, in the previous video specifically, we were right around here, and I said, okay, now I'm a bit more bullish than before in Jasmy, because in the short term, the idea before the previous update was that maybe this is a correction and we're going to get another move down. But in the previous JasmyCoin update, we said, look, it seems like that this is actually a 1 2 3 4 5, and this can be an ABC zigzag, which is overall a bit of a bullish setup, suggesting the low is already in and we can get a very strong move on the upside. And I believe we said, when in this move we take the height of our B leg, at that point, that's kind of a confirmation that we are having a corrective movement in here and we can continue this move up at quite a bit of a rapid pace. And as you can see, that pretty much happened. Now, in the first scenario that I'm going to show you, in the interest of not getting your hopes up that much, I am going to argue maybe in Jasmy we are having 5 wave up into a wave 1, correction for wave 2. This is a 5 wave to about this high around, let's say, 1.75 cents into wave 3, correction for 4, another move up into wave 5, and inside of our wave 1, 3, and 5, we need to be able to find 5 waves on the upside. Why is this important? Because when you go on 15-minute chart, there we go, and zoom in, as you can see, in our last leg into this supposedly wave 5, it seems like so far we are only having a 1 2 3, and where is 4 and 5? The answer is we probably do not have it yet. So makes sense to say in the short term we're gonna get maybe like a correction into 4, probably I'm gonna say a triangle structure, and then at least one more move up into our wave 5. So this move I believe can continue a little bit more, and then on a higher degree you can say this is 1 2 3 4 5, which is a great sign suggesting the final low is in right in here. But you shouldn't be overwhelmingly optimistic. Why is that? Because what happens after a 5 wave up? You know the deal. One way or the other, we are going to have a move on the downside. Now, if we are looking bullish and optimistic and the final bottom is already in, our move down is going to be in form of a correction structure, basically a slow and choppy move with a lot of overlapping of the waves between our pullbacks. On the other hand, if I'm wrong and we are not bullish, well, okay, from these areas, we're going to see like a very strong move on the downside, maybe like a 1 2 3 4 5, in order to go under these important levels all over again. From my point of view, I would like to give the advantage to the bullish possibility, indicating the final bottom is already in Jasmy. So this was, again, in the interest of not getting your hopes up that much. And based on this scenario, well, okay, we can expect maybe for the next 12 to 24 hours, another continuation of this move up, and then we want to see a move on the downside. Now, there is a slight problem with this scenario, indicating this is a 1 2 3 4 5 wave up, and that brings me to a possible, again, this is important, possible much more bullish scenario. Let's go around here. You see, you probably know what I'm about to say. If you want to say we're going to have an uptrend starting from the current point, then okay, you need to be able to find a 1 2 3 4 5 wave up, and this is a normal 5 wave. Rules for it are we should not have overlapping of the waves between are wave 2 and 4. This is important, and in any kind of Y wave, wave 3 should not be the smallest wave. Now, sometimes we actually end up having overlapping of the waves, and that narrows our option to either a leading diagonal in form of a wedge, or maybe an expanding leading diagonal, which is the topic of today's update. You see, in an expanding leading diag, we are having our initial move up into wave 1, correction for wave 2, big move up into wave 3, and it has to be bigger than 1, correction for 4. Again, in here, we must have overlapping of the waves. And also, this is the key, our wave 4 is bigger than wave 2. And this is our final move up into wave 5. And it has to be the biggest wave in this structure. Now, let's go on the live chart and go around here. And for like a very short moment, hide everything. As you can see, it seems like that in this phase now, we are actually having kind of overlapping of the waves. Now, if you want to ignore it, okay, that will lead you to the first scenario that we talked about earlier. If you want to say this overlapping of the waves actually happened and we shouldn't ignore it, well, okay, that leads you to say either this is an expanding leading diagonal or maybe a leading diagonal in form of a wedge. And before I hit the record, I actually measured our waves. This wave is clearly bigger than this one. So it means if you want to say this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you have to argue for an expanding leading diagonal. However, this is our problem. This move right in here is either very, very equal to this move on the downside, or by a small margin, it's actually smaller than this move, which is, you probably know what I'm about to say, a no-no in an expanding leading diag. So this means overall, basically, again, if you want to say this overlapping of the waves actually happened and we should count it, we cannot really identify a complete impulse on the upside to about here, or let's say like just a bit higher. Now, what's the point that I'm trying to say? I'm trying to tell you, okay, we are on our way to probably, and I would say most likely, complete the subways for this wave 5, but maybe this is going to get like very, very extended, and we may have a series of 1-2s in here. This can be 5 up into 1, correction for 2, big move up into wave 3, correction for 4, another move up into wave 5, which on a higher degree might be into a wave 3, and then we're going to have correction for 4, another move up into wave 5, which overall suggests this move in Jasmy might actually continue for quite some time. This scenario can actually happen if you again want to say this is clearly an overlapping of the waves. But again, in the interest of not getting your hopes up that much, I think we should take everything step by step. And for now, let's not really consider this possibility as our primary scenario, while at the moment, basically, evidence do suggest that we should consider this thing as our primary case. Let's just say we are having like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave up, and soon this move might come to an end. Now, the question is, when can we say whether this or the previous scenario is in play? I'm going to say it when we get this 5 wave up into this wave 5, and then we have some sort of a price action in here. This is really, from my point of view, going to determine which scenario is happening. And right in here, maybe it's going to happen by the next couple of days. I promise you, we are going to make new JasmyCoin videos and see what is happening. That's why I want to say right now, let's take everything a step by step. And sure, we can be like really, really bullish, but let's not really jump into that kind of bullish conclusions. So overall, it seems like that JasmyCoin is following the bullish possibility, which is a great sign. And the fact that, again, we are reclaiming all these levels is yet another optimistic sign, indicating the final low is already in, and we are allowed to be bullish with a bit more confidence than before. And I hope I explained everything well and you understood what is going on in Jasmy's chart. Anyway, if you found any value in my content, I would really appreciate if you like this video and consider subscribing to my channel and follow me on Twitter. And if you want more, maybe you want a complete analysis for your own specific crypto, or maybe you want to learn some decent TA in order to be able to make good money in the markets, you can become a member and ask me anything you want. And until the next update, I hope you have a wonderful time with your family and loved ones. Goodbye.